Okay, let's get started. So, I know you've had a lot of technical sessions today, so I thought I'd bring you a little bit of theory. Um, and I'm going to talk about how to build responsible AI solutions because I know code is nice. I love coding. I love working. I love designing new solutions. But sometimes, knowing how to and being responsible is very important as well. So, a little bit about me. I'm Georgia. I'm a Microsoft MVP in AI. I'm also a Microsoft certified trainer, and I work as a web applications developer at ITT. I love blogging, so if you're interested in Azure and AI, you can visit my blog, codestories.gr, or find me on LinkedIn, GitHub, and Twitter. So today, in this very small session, we're going to talk about a little about what is artificial intelligence. I'm going to do a little intro on Azure Cognitive Services. I know you've seen them a lot, but it never hurts to do a recap of the day or an intro to the following days that are going to follow. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Microsoft AI principles and how to build a responsible AI strategy. So I've been talking a lot of artificial intelligence. It's very trending the last years. But what is the definition? And when we're talking about artificial intelligence, it's pretty much software that imitates human capabilities. So it can make decisions, it can recognize events that are normal, it can interpret visual input like video streams or images, it can understand written and spoken language and participate in conversations. So, any software that has those characteristics is an AI software or AI enabled software. So, artificial intelligence pretty much is any technique which enables computers to mimic human behavior. And as we know, a way to do that is machine learning. It's a subset of AI techniques that we use to enable machines to improve with experiences. And of course, deep learning, where we're using neural networks to help machines learn and improve, sometimes without giving them initial data or supervised data. So, common artificial intelligence workloads are machine learning, where we can build predictive models based on data and statistics. Anomaly detection, those are systems that detect unusual patterns, unusual behaviors, events, which help us take preemptive action. Computer vision is any application that can interpret streams, videos, cameras, anything. Natural language processing applications are applications that can understand written or spoken language. And then we have the conversational AI, which are called sometimes AI agents or bots. They can engage in dialogues, they can make decisions, and they can pretty much act like human users and interact with us when we use them. So, when we're talking about AI in Azure, we're talking about, well, three big platforms essentially. So, Microsoft Azure has a scalable, reliable cloud platform for AI. That includes storage, compute, and services. So, when we're talking about machine learning, we have Azure Machine Learning. It's a web platform that we can use to train, deploy, and manage machine learning models. We have cognitive services, which is a suite of services that developers can use to build AI solutions with minimal code by using services and without knowledge of machine learning, without pre existing knowledge of machine learning. And then we have the Azure Bot Service, which is a cloud based platform for developing and managing our bots and publishing them. So it's really important, especially considering that when we're talking about Microsoft Cognitive Services, there are ready to use APIs. They have pre trained models, and everybody can try and use them to make their app AI enabled. So it's very important when AI is so easily accessible to every developer out there to consider what makes responsible AI? What do I have to do as a developer or as a user to make sure my applications are trustworthy, make good decisions, and are reliable to to use and to sell and to do anyway. So here come the Microsoft AI principles. The reason we have those principles, and pretty much every company has some kind of principle system on building AI, is because we have a lot of challenges and a lot of risks when it comes to AI. For example, bias can affect results, and it's very easily to build biased applications. Every one of us is biased if you think about it. Our experiences, our family, our environment, everything we've done since birth is what shapes the world around us, our culture. And we transfer all these experiences and all this, let's say, bias to our applications. So it's very important to keep in mind that we're starting off as being biased. And every application we're making is based on our personal bias. So it's very important to keep that in mind while building applications, because sometimes applications, for example, if you're running a loan approval model that discriminates against certain categories, it can impact people's lives in a way, for example, a bot might not. Okay. Another challenge is that errors may cause harm. So if I have a validation error in a form, it won't submit. But if I have an autonomous vehicle that has to make decisions where it's already on the road with other vehicles and people that might be crossing that road, any failure of my software, any failure of my AI to make decisions may cause physical harm. So it's very important that system failures are avoided and AI systems are built with reliability in mind. As with every application, AI is built on data. So privacy and data must be very safeguarded. Solutions may not work for everyone, as it happens with every other application. So building a great diagnostic, for example, system for a specific illness might not work for a different illness. So every solution must be specific in a way. And then we have the human factor. We have a user that must trust a complex system that was also built by users that are biased or have all of those risks, entail all of those risks, their data, their privacy. So how can we build a system that our users will trust and will use and be happy with the results and are not going to be second guessing everything? And finally, who's liable for those AI-driven decisions? So if an accident happens in an autonomous vehicle, who's at fault? The developer? The company who built it? The user who didn't program it well or didn't give it specific enough instructions? So all of those challenges and risk must be met. So that's why there is a responsible AI principle system. You can find all those principles on the link you can see below, microsoft.com/AI/responsible dash AI. So the principles of building responsible AI implications are fairness. A system must be fair and treat all people equally. People of different backgrounds, people of different color, of different status in society, of different financial status. So a system must be fair. It also must be reliable and safe. Um, things, as I said, with autonomous vehicles, a lot of things can cause physical harm. So possible failures must be minimized so that the benefits outweigh any risk involved. And as with any data application, privacy and security. A system must safeguard its users from data leaks and everything else. Inclusiveness. AI systems should empower everyone and engage people. AI systems are built to help people to. I'm sorry, can you hear me? I hope you can hear me. My headset turned off for a minute there. So we're talking about inclusiveness. So as I said, inclusiveness, an AI system must empower their users and engage people. They should not exclude people. For example, all systems that build on the internet should have accessibility features for people that are blind, that are deaf, so everybody can use them. In order to engage users and build trust, an application must be transparent. Transparent means that it should be understandable and the user should be fully aware of what they're using and what the limitations of the system are. So let's say we're building a system to sort through resumes for an HR company. So the system should be checked. The user that uses it should know the limitations of the system and how to use it safely to drive decisions. And accountability. When we're publishing an AI-enabled application, it should be very clear who's responsible for any issues that arise, for any decisions that go wrong, okay? And that the solutions we're building meets any ethical and legal standards for the country we are in. It's very important to be accountable for the system. So, building up on those principles, I have a suggestion based on my experience on how to build a responsible AI strategy when we're designing solution. And it doesn't matter whether you're the developer that's responsible for building the solutions, whether you're the architect that's designing the components for the solutions, or the manager that's overseeing this whole process, or even the user, because sometimes, we're the users of a lot of AI applications that are included in our company. And sometimes we might be tempted to use them blindly. Okay. So to start building an AI strategy, the most important thing is to build an AI culture. You have to create and encourage an organization culture that empowers anyone to raise doubts and speak up if there's an issue with an AI program. So, for example, I'm building an application that is wrong 90% of the time. Is that an acceptable rate? It might be an acceptable rate if you're suggesting, I don't know, destinations to a user, but it might not be an acceptable success rate when we're talking about a robotic arm that does surgery. So it's very important to encourage individuals that participate in the building of AI solutions to raise doubt, concerns, without hindering innovation, because innovation in AI is with what takes us forward, gives us better solutions, and makes our business grow. Another thing is to cultivate confidence and trust. When we're talking about AI solutions that drive decisions, for example, I don't know, an HR company that has an AI system to sort through resumes, or a bank that gives out loans, we have to make sure to establish transparent governance structures. So we know that our system is accurate, or at the most accurate, and we should identify roles. Who's responsible for the solution? Who's responsible for the data protection? Who's responsible for governance, and who should use this application? And what standards should they meet? All those roles must be clearly defined when we're talking about building and deploying an AI application. Fine, not finally, but one of the most important things is after we have all those tools in place, where we have the right people, we have accountability, we have transparency, our applications are protecting our data, every legal or ethical standard is met. The only thing we have to do is choose the right AI tools to build on. For example, when architecting and deploying AI models, systems, platforms, we must make sure that they are trustworthy, fair, and explainable by design. What I mean by this is that, for example, if you go and check Azure, you have full documentation on how Microsoft processes your data, how long those data are stored, what are the processes Microsoft use to develop the product they're giving you, to develop the models they're giving you to do your work, um, how compliant they are, what are the legal standards they use. So when using Azure or the Azure Machine Learning platform, you can find online on the Trust Center all the information you need to make sure that if you choose, for example, Azure AI to build your solution, you are choosing a platform that's reliable, that's trustworthy, that doesn't use your data for marketing purposes. They only use it to better their service. They're not keeping it anywhere on their servers. You upload them, they give you the analysis, the metadata, or whatever. They keep some information. And they discard your data, so you're sure that they're not keeping information and data that is private to your users and your customers. And it's very important when choosing a platform to make all those checks, because usually this happens at the end stage of a solution. It should happen before it the decision whether the application will meet a standard in the future, whether it's compliance, well, it meets legal principles and legal laws in every country. Laws in every country are different regarding data and everything else. Starts with the design. So you have to choose the right AI tools. And last but not least, it's very important to align your responsible business mission. So, every company has a vision. If you're a software company, you want your solutions to save the world, to make money, to solve a problem that other people have. And if you're a company that's using an AI solution, your goal should be to give better services or help you save time. But don't use AI for the sake of AI. I know AI is trendy. I know it's the last step of technology, but there are still some things you can do without it. So make sure that what application you're building aligns with your business mission. It aligns with your brand, your reputation as a company, and it brings actual value to your customer. It's very important, because I know everybody wants to have a bot, but if it doesn't solve a problem for me, I don't care. I would rather have another solution. So make sure you align your responsible business mission. And something I want to leave you with is you have to know it always starts with you. Um, Everybody can make an impact. Whether you're a user using a system that you see is biased, you can speak up. If you're a developer that you see the technology is not up to the standard you want it to be, you can choose another tool. It's up to you. If you're an architect building a solution, designing a solution, it's up to you to choose the right component, the right tools. If you're a manager overseeing this whole process, it's up to you to choose the correct roles for governance, having people checking quality standards, having if you have a legal department, for example, checking the legal standards or the compliance standards for your projects. It always starts with you at any level of the process that we need to build an AI application. That's what I want to leave you with. So, thank you very much. I hope it was a little bit an interesting presentation, and it left you with something to think about next time you you open Visual Studio and try to write some code to create an application, or you have the next, I don't know, $1 million idea that's going to save the world, save the environment. Make sure in the back of your mind to have a way of, if not these principles that we talked about, some principles similar to build a good application and a good solution. Thank you very much.